The morning sun was merciless over the red dirt plains, baking the fences and turning the horizon into a trembling shimmer. At the edge of the Bar H ranch, dust rose from a figure walking slow, steady, like someone who'd run out of places to go. She carried a baby wrapped in a faded blanket, its tiny face hidden against her shoulder. Her boots were worn, her dress torn at the hem, and the desperation in her eyes was the kind a man didn't forget once he saw it. She reached the big wooden door of the ranch house, hesitated for a heartbeat, then knocked. Inside, a chair scraped, boots thudded, and the door swung open. A tall man stood there, broad-shouldered, sunburned, with gray eyes sharp as a hawk's. His name was Caleb Hart, owner of the Bar H, a man who didn't take kindly to strangers. But the moment his eyes met hers, something shifted in the air. He froze like he'd seen a ghost. "Sir," her voice trembled. I'm looking for work. Anything at all. I can clean, cook, mend. I've got a baby, but I'll work twice as hard, I swear it." The child stirred, let out a small cry. She shushed it softly, eyes dropping in shame as if even the baby was a burden she had to apologize for. Caleb didn't speak for a long while. His jaw flexed, his gaze locked on the child. Then his voice came low, rough. "What's your name, ma'am?" "Clara. Clara Moore." The name hit him like a punch to the chest. Moore. His hand gripped the doorframe tight enough to whiten the knuckles. The wind picked up, rustling the papers on the table behind him, carrying a memory from years back. Gunfire, a cabin burning, and a woman screaming as a man dragged her into the dark. He swallowed hard. "You're from the Moore place up by Hollow Creek, ain't you?" She blinked in surprise. "Used to be. My husband, he died when the fever hit the valley." Caleb's voice softened. "You walked all this way?" "Yes, sir. The baby and me." She looked ready to collapse right there on his porch. Dust streaked her cheeks, and the baby's blanket was so thin it barely kept the chill away. Caleb stepped aside without another word. "Come in," he said. Then, quieter, like he didn't even realize he was speaking aloud, "You're home." She looked up sharply, tears glimmering, unsure she'd heard him right. But he was already heading to the stove, pouring water into a kettle like it was the most natural thing in the world. The house smelled of coffee and leather, of a man who'd lived too long alone. She sat carefully at the edge of a chair, clutching her baby close. The little one, no more than 6 months, blinked up at the light and let out a faint coo. Caleb turned and froze again. That sound, it did something to him. He set the kettle down, walked closer, and looked at the child. The baby had a birthmark just below the ear, small and shaped like a teardrop. He'd seen that same mark once before, on his brother's son. His voice came out strained. "You said your husband's name was Moore." "Yes, Eli Moore." Caleb staggered back a step. "Eli was my brother." The words hit the room like a thunderclap. Clara's breath caught. "Your brother." He nodded slowly, eyes clouded. "He rode off 8 years ago after a fight between us. Said he was done with this ranch. I thought he was dead long before the fever took him." Her eyes filled. "He never stopped talking about you. Said someday he'd bring me and the baby here. Said it was the only place left that ever felt like home." Caleb turned away, his chest tight. Guilt clawed at him. If he hadn't been too proud, too stubborn, maybe his brother would still be alive. Outside, the wind howled across the prairie, kicking up dust that rattled the window panes. Clara rocked the baby gently. Caleb stared into the fire, jaw set, until he finally spoke. "Again, you and the little one stay here. No more wandering, no more begging for scraps." "Sir, I can't." "You can," he said sharply. Then softer, "Your family." For the first time in months, her lips trembled into something close to a smile. Days passed. Clara worked from dawn till dusk, cleaning, cooking, patching fences. The ranch hands muttered about the stranger woman and her baby in the main house, but Caleb didn't care. He rode the range every evening, coming back just in time to find Clara sitting by the fire, humming to the child. One night, a storm rolled in, black clouds swallowing the stars. As lightning split the sky, a horse galloped hard into the yard. It was Jed Larkin, a drifter and gambler who'd been sniffing around the ranch for weeks. He burst into the house, rain dripping off his hat. "Evenin', Hart," he sneered. "Heard you got some pretty widow working for you. Thought I'd pay her a visit." Caleb stood slowly. The air between them went still. "You best leave, Larkin." But Jed's grin widened. Looks like Eli Moore's woman's got herself a new man already. Ain't that fast? Before the insult even settled, Caleb's fist hit him square in the jaw. Larkin crashed into the wall, gun tumbling from his holster. The baby started crying. Clara ran to scoop him up, trembling. Caleb stood over Larkin, voice low and deadly. You ever come near her again, I'll bury you myself. Larkin spat blood, crawled out the door, and vanished into the rain. When the echo of hooves faded, Clara turned to Caleb, her eyes wide with fear and gratitude. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. He took a breath, his voice breaking. Eli was my brother, but you're all that's left of him. This ranch is yours now as much as mine. Clara stared at him, tears streaming down. The baby reached out a tiny hand toward Caleb's chest, clutching his shirt. He looked down at that little hand, then back at Clara. Something deep, unspoken passed between them, loss, forgiveness, and the faint spark of something new. Outside, the rain eased. The storm broke apart, revealing a thin silver moon over the plains. Clara whispered softly, "Thank you." Caleb smiled faintly. "Don't thank me, just stay." And as the fire crackled, the lonely ranch house no longer felt empty. For the first time in years, it truly was home.